Buying a business is super hard right now. It is mega competitive. Every good deal has so many offers coming in, so many buyers that want it. You are in a highly competitive space when you're putting in a letter of intent and trying to get them to select you to be the lucky one who gets to buy this great business. Today, we're gonna talk through some top tips to make yourself stand out to the seller and the broker and become everyone's favorite buyer, and to maximize the odds that you get chosen as the winner who gets to buy this great company. On a broker represented deal, your first job is to get the broker to love you as the buyer, because you usually can't even get to the seller unless the broker lets you in. They're the gatekeeper to this deal. So you want to appear as the perfect buyer to the broker. How do you do that? I've got 5 top tips for you. So I've been a broker for 10 years. I know what I want to see in a buyer. I'm going to give you all the inside baseball here. The first thing we want to know is, do you have any freaking money? It's such a funny thing, an obvious thing, but like we love buyers that have some money. So like, do you have your down payment? So we don't mean you have to be a billionaire. You don't have to be a multi-millionaire. But the hardest thing to do for a broker is to get a deal across the finish line with a buyer that just doesn't have a down payment. Or they're having to scramble and search their couch cushions to scrape together enough cash to put money down on this thing. It just becomes mission impossible. It's really hard to get deals done with really thin buyers that don't qualify financially. So to separate yourself as a great buyer, you just want to lead with that. Don't get offended when the broker asks you for a personal financial statement. That's their job. They have hundreds of buyers coming to them inquiring about this business. They want to get it to someone that's a great fit and that's high likelihood of closing, and that starts with money. It starts with, do you have your down payment? So you want to make sure if you have the cash, show it off. Have a personal financial statement already made and say, yeah, here's my personal financial statement. You can see my liquidity, my net worth, it's all there. Don't be shy about it. They see hundreds of these. They're not doing anything with that information. They're just making sure that you qualify. Let's say you don't have all of the down payment that you need, and you're going to need to raise some investor capital for your deal. So that gets even harder. That's already a strike against you for the broker. But the way you can overcome that is you don't want to be vague, dodgy, or cagey about your answer to that. You want to take it head on. Like, let's pretend there's a deal that needs $500,000 of down payment. It's one of the bigger, so it's on the maximum size of an SBA loan. It's a $5 million deal, and you need $500,000, and you only have $200,000. What you could say is, hey, Mr. Broker, I know I'm going to need at least $500,000 to take this down. I've got $200 already, but I've got my friend Mike here. He is with me in this process. He's got a much higher net worth than me. Here's Mike's personal financial statement. Here's his cell phone number. He's agreed that any deal I'm willing to put my money in, he'll follow me into, so we'll cover this down payment together, me and my boy Mike here, and then bring Mike with you to the buyer-seller meeting. Make sure it's a real person that we believe and we can see their financial statement. But when you use answers like, oh yeah, I won't have problems getting the money if we can get the good deal, So every buyer says some variation of that. They say oh, I can get the money if the deal's right. Can you though? Because some people that say that really can't, and we don't know that. So you either need to show us you got the money, or you need to show us you got the person that's got the money, and come in right out of the gate with that. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 to make a broker love you is, when you're submitting your letter of intent, go ahead and describe your due diligence process and make it sound like it's going to be pretty quick and easy, because brokers know that deals often die in due diligence. And if you sound like you know what you're doing and you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Broker, we need about 30 days of due diligence here. We're going to need a pretty short list. There's about 20 items. I can get those to you immediately. And as long as everything looks good, we're going to get through diligence really smoothly. I've got this provider here helping me. But you just kind of lay out the path that you know what you're doing with due diligence. You're going to make it quick and easy. And if you're going to be a no, you're going to be able to tell them that almost immediately, because you know what your deal breakers are, and you're going to root them out extremely quickly during due diligence. You're not going to drag it out for 90 days, 120 days, and then come up with some reason you don't want to do the deal later. That is a death blow to the broker. They hate diligence that drags on, and they hate surprises. And just show you've got your ducks in a row for due diligence. That's tip number 2. The third tip to make the broker love you is to have a great bank and a great attorney on your team. If you don't have one, ask the broker for a recommendation because they usually have great bankers that they work with. So you can just go with if you go with the bank the broker likes, they're gonna love that because there's already a bank they trust that's a real reliable bank that's good at getting these deals done that they'll hook you up with. So go with the bank they like, or if you're gonna bring one to the table, make sure it's a top 10 or like a very competent, high volume SBA preferred lender if you're going the SBA route, and that you just are gonna bring somebody to the table that's a high volume specialist that's great at getting deals done, that already has checked you out your financials and is confident in lending to you for a great company, and just show that you've got a great bank. The other side of that is attorneys. Attorneys can be a nightmare for brokers. They can absolutely kill deals. So don't bring your family's favorite divorce attorney into this deal as your attorney. Don't bring your normal business attorney. Make sure it's somebody that's done lots of small business transactions and is a skilled M&A person. And if you don't have a good one in your corner, ask the broker. They've got a bunch of them that they work with that they know are competent M&A attorneys, and that will really endear you to the brokers. You either bring a good M&A attorney to the table or you ask them for a recommendation and go with someone that they already trust that's a good deal-making attorney. That's tip number 3. All right, the fourth tip is kind of funny, but I want to call it be monogamous. And so when I think about selling a business, when you submit a letter of intent, I view that as like the proposal part of you're about to get married. So you drop to one knee, you pull out the ring, you ask the question, you pop the question, and if they say yes, they say yes and put that ring on their finger. The seller is committing to exclusivity with you. That means for a period of time, they're not talking to other buyers at all. They're just gonna let you run with due diligence, get your financing in line, and close this deal. But if they commit to you, you should commit to them. And that just means for the time being, be monogamous, which means focus on the one deal. So for the next 30 to 60 days or whatever it takes, we want you to be completely focused on closing this deal. We don't want you to be sneaking around out the back, submitting other offers on other deals and proposing to other cute girls while you're engaged to us, So like that's the metaphor I would like to use, but just like you would never want to do that to someone you wanted to get married to, because closing the deal is like the wedding day is like the closing day. That's when you get married. You shouldn't be dating around while you're engaged. And so commit to monogamy. You don't have to use these weird words, but like when you're talking to the broker, just make it be clear that, yeah, you're looking at a few different deals. If we get accepted here, we're just going to fully focus on this one until we get it done. And they got to know that you're laser focused on them. That's tip number 4. The last tip is so important. It's just follow instructions. So a good M&A advisor or business broker, most of us have done dozens, some of us have done hundreds of transactions. You probably have not. So guess who maybe you should listen to and when we give you advice on how to do things and how to present yourself. Nothing annoys us more than a buyer that's never bought a business and thinks they know everything when we're here trying to help you, because we want you to buy it. Like we want you to close your deal, and we're gonna give you lots of tips on how to proceed. And if you just ignore our advice and do your own thing every step of the way, that's gonna burn your bridge with this broker, and they're gonna start souring on you, and they'll start steering that seller away from you. So you just wanna be respectful, listen to advice, follow instructions of the experienced broker. Don't view them as an adversary, view them as an ally that's gonna help guide you to the winning deal here. That's my last tip. Okay, if you're watching this show, you're probably interested in buying a business. And we have to give a shout out to our sponsor, dealonomy.com. It is the easiest, best place to go buy a company. All the deals on there are good. They all have clean financials, strong earnings, motivated sellers with realistic asking price expectations, everything you want to buy a business and make your life easy as possible with professionals helping you every step of the way. Go build a profile at dealonomy.com. Go check out our marketplaces. We have tons of companies, great ones for sale right now at dealonomy.com. Go register for free today and get access to our platform and go check out the business of your dreams. Might be there right now. So after you've won the broker over and they love you and they think you're a great buyer for this thing, you got to win the seller's heart, because the seller is ultimately the decision maker. They're the one that's going to decide if you're the one to buy the business or not. So the most important relationship is not the broker, it's actually the seller. So once you get through the broker and get to the seller, you'll start meeting with them. You usually will have the broker kind of chaperoning as you guys get together as buyer and seller. But I'm going to give you some tips now about how to make yourself really stand out, because most sellers will be introduced to multiple buyer candidates and you want them to like you more than anyone else. Here's the top ways to do that. Okay, the very first tip to win over the seller's heart is to be a good listener. So God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. So sometimes you need to listen twice as much as you talk, and you need to shut up sometimes and really ask good questions of the seller. One of my favorite questions I like to ask is an open-ended one where I'd say, hey Bob, this company sounds amazing. You don't seem like you're ready to just retire and ride off into the sunset. Like, you still look like you have a lot of energy and this is a great company. Like, why in the world are you selling this thing? Like, why not just keep it? You almost try to talk them out of selling it and then shut up and then listen to what they say. Because when they answer that question, they're going to tell you their big why. There's usually something under the surface that's a very personal reason as to why they're selling their business. You want to latch onto that early and often and really drive into your heart like, okay, this person just opened up to me and told me exactly why they're selling this great company, and I want to make sure I honor that. So you need to listen to that, and then when you structure the deal with your offer that often comes after this conversation, you want to make sure that whatever you offer isn't just dollars and cents. It's going to be scratching that itch. It's going to be meeting their big why and making sure that you nail it for them. So for example, I've had a couple that just says, I've got a special needs child, and there's this place in Florida that's the perfect place. We want them to help us raise this child, and we just need to move there. And we need to focus on our child's needs right now in this phase of our life. And that's what is our biggest driving force, because if it wasn't for this special needs child, we would not be selling right now, because it wouldn't make sense to sell this business. But this is not our highest priority. Right now, the highest priority is the special needs child. Okay? So if you hear that, guess how you would really screw it up? Is if you made some offer that was tone deaf to that and said, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Sellers, here's my offer. I need you to stay with me for the next 12 months and be my general manager until I find another general manager, and I'm going to give you the price that you want, but I need you to do this or that, and you're going to actually prevent them from moving, or you're not going to help accommodate that. So you want to think through okay, I heard you, and I want to help get your move done as quickly as possible. So you might say, hey, I know you said you'll stick around up to 6 months in the presentation, but I want to get you to Florida faster than that. So I want us to work together on a plan. We were going to get you out of here in 90 days or less, because I really want to get you to Florida so you can help your child out. And so what we'll do is we're going to do an accelerated transition plan. And then I just want to have telephone consultations from days 90 to 180, but you can do that from Florida and maybe an hour a day, but I don't want to be a distraction for you. I want you to be able to focus on what matters most to you. You think that's going to be the right way to play it? That's the right way to play it. So you got to think about what do they really want, and how can my pitch to buy their company really scratch that need for them? And that's how you win yourself over with the seller. Look for the big why and nail it with your offer. The second thing I want to tell you is another kind of psychological thing. It's that I think deep down, most business sellers kind of wish they could sell their business to a child. I think it's just a universal thing that most owners want. But a lot of people, that's just not in the cards. They either never have a child, or more often they have children that have no interest whatsoever in taking over the family business. And so a lot of times they were kind of building it thinking they were going to sell it or gift it or sell it to one of their children, but they realized they all went off to school and got passionate about other things, and they don't want to take over mom and dad's business. It just isn't cool to them. And so you have a chance if you can just appear because you're often younger than the seller. If you can kind of be that surrogate child, and I don't want to say that in a weird way. I just want it to be imagine you're a 20, 30-year younger version of the seller, that's who they'd love to sell to, is a younger version of themselves. And that kind of fills that need. Because if you can't sell it to your child, you want to be able to see yourself continued in the buyer. So look for common ground with the seller. So the business owner, even if you're different demographically, if you're a female and they're a male, or you're a different skin color or whatever, you can overcome all that. None of that matters if they can see that you have a lot in common into how you think and how you feel and what's important to you and your values. And they can look you in the eyes after they get to know you a little bit and say, that's exactly how I used to think about this. I was passionate about this in the same way. And that it just feels good to sell to a younger version of yourself, or someone that kind of feels like a child, like their own child. Because I think that's just a deep down, almost like a God-given thing that people have, is like they'd love to continue the legacy through their family, and if not, someone that feels like family or someone that feels connected to them at that heart level. Listen to what makes them tick, and ask them about, how did they start this business? Where were they at in life? Why did they do it? And you'll hear their why from 20, 30 years ago. And if that why matches your why right now, you can find some real good common ground there and really build that bridge to where it feels right. And you just want to position yourself to feel like that. And it feels a little woo-woo saying that, but I'm telling you, that is on the heart of a lot of people, is if they can sell to someone that's just like the child they never had, or that they wish wanted to take over their business, or like a younger version of themselves, it just feels great. And they're going to pick your offer over the more cold offer that's more just like dollars and cents driven, but doesn't have that heart match. And so that's a great way to make the seller really feel like you're the right one. The third tip is just be nice, like be kind, be relatable, be likable. I have seen buyers absolutely blow it in first meeting. There was a guy, he came into a meeting, and I'm the broker, right? I had prepped him on what to do. And this moron did exactly the opposite. So he broke the rule I already told you not to do. He didn't listen to me. And the first thing he did, I said, hey, this meeting's just so we can get to know each other and hear each other's stories. And we're not here to negotiate at this first meeting. We're making sure this is the right match, people, person to person. This buyer sits down, the very first thing he says is, before we get going, I just want to say, I don't really think this company is worth what you guys think it's worth. How do and like he just dove right into the, hardball negotiation tactics, immediately offended the seller, basically called their baby ugly. And now, how do you overcome that? We did not overcome that. He did not end up buying the business. He blew it. And so you don't want to go there. So what I would do, especially on a broker represented deal, is if you're going to need a punching bag, if you're going to beat up the price, do it with a broker privately, because that's what we're here for. Is like we're that buffer between you and the seller. So that'll allow you to go into the meetings with the seller. It's almost like good cop, bad cop. Is like only play bad cop when you're privately talking to the broker, and then always be good cop when you're with the seller. Because ultimately the seller's the decision maker. You're going to have to work together for a period of time during a transitional season, and you don't ever want to offend them and make them feel like you're condescending or critical of their business, because they know their business isn't perfect. But if you go in there like pointing out all the flaws and just really picking it apart to the seller's face, it's very offensive, it's very emotional. And so all those things you want to pick apart about the business and the hardball things you want to negotiate, do that offline with the broker, because we can handle it, we're used to that. And we can hear you out, and we can serve as that buffer so that you can stay in the seller's good graces. That's my third tip. The fourth tip to win over a seller is industry knowledge. Okay, brokers know it's not really that important. Like, if you have some business sense, like if you can manage people and finances, you can usually buy and be successful in almost any industry that you go into, because business is kind of business. It's pretty universal. But a seller, especially a self-made seller that's been in one industry their whole life, they all think like their industry is super unique super hard, and that the only person that's going to succeed is someone that knows their industry inside and out. They super overemphasize industry expertise, even though I know and most brokers know it's really not that important, but it is to them. And so if you have industry knowledge, expertise, show it off. Like, show your passion for it. Show that, man, I go to that same conference you go to. Oh, I heard that guy talk too. I read that same trade journal. And like, look for stuff on their wall that relates to stuff that you know about, and just show that, man, I'm already on the inside of this industry. I know what's going on here. They love that. Sellers eat that up. Like, if you are an industry expert, like, go in there guns a-blazing and show off that, like, you're passionate, you're knowledgeable, because they're gonna think, oh, this person is definitely gonna succeed. And they want you to succeed. Like, every seller wants to be able to go buy this business in 5 years and see it prospering, and they think someone that's a really knowledgeable industry person has really good odds of success. So show it off. But what if you don't have the industry knowledge? What if you are a good business person, but this is a new industry to you? There's some ways you can get around that, but you gotta think through it. So what I would do is I would start quickly getting up to speed on the industry vocabulary. And so you might want to I use ChatGPT or different AI to do this, is I would start talking to AI and say, hey, I'm going into a meeting with someone that owns this business, this type of business for the last 30 years. What are some industry specific things I need to ask them about to make sure that I ask the right questions when I get to know them? And so you want to at least appear that you've done some homework, that you are passionate and interested in this industry, that you're going to be a quick study of it, that you're going to dive right in and learn it inside and out, that you have a friend or family member that's deep in this industry that you're going to call upon as a friend and mentor. Maybe they're going to invest with you, etc. So if you can show you're passionate about it, you're a quick study, you've already been learning about it, you've got some people around you that are really knowledgeable in it, and that you're going to but you have these other transferable skills that will be really useful, but you're going to pick up the industry stuff really quick. That's how you're going to overcome that. And you definitely want to come in not looking like you have no idea about this industry and you haven't even put any forethought into how are you going to overcome that, because that's going to be an instant turnoff. The seller's going to think, wow, this person just doesn't know my industry. They don't get it. They're never going to get it. And I shouldn't sell to them because I don't want them to run this thing into the ground. So come with your industry knowledge, or come prepared. And that'll be that'll be the way to win that seller over. Okay, the very last tip, elephant in the room. Will sellers generally pick the highest purchase price? Yeah. Like, they really do want the big number for their business. But you don't necessarily have to have the highest offer to win the offer. But you do need to have like a high-ish offer. You can't be the lowest. If you've done everything right, where you've won the broker's heart, you've won the seller's heart, often they'll pick you as the winning bidder, even if you don't have the absolutely max highest bid for this business. But as much as possible, I want you to realize the seller gets only one chance to sell this business. And they're done for the rest of their life a lot of times after that. And they've done the math, and they've talked to their wealth manager. They know what they kind of need to live on, and like, that big number really matters. And so my advice is, when you're structuring your deal, is to push the big number up to the seller's expectations if you can. Don't think about it like the real estate really hyper aggressive buyer that says, oh, you make all your money on the buy, and like, it's all about getting it for the cheapest price. Because in business, you'll actually just not get the deal most of the time if you try to laser focus on getting the lowest price. And so what you want to do is show that sometimes I do an option A and option B close, and I'll say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know you want this much for the company. I'm having trouble getting there. I'm close. If you can help me out in this way, I can get you your number. And so that might be some creative financing for part of that. It might be a forgivable seller note, or a contingent seller note, as we call it, that helps you get over the hump. So terms, like, you can give them their big number, but with a little bit of ask on the terms to get them there, to get you there, to reduce some of the risk. That's a great way to solve the problem. And the A-B close I sometimes do is I'll say, hey, I can do 3.5, make it real clean, and it's all cash at closing, this or that, but I know you really want 4 million. and I'm trying to get there. So the only way I can get you to 4 is if we do X, Y, Z, and you kind of tell them the terms and why, but you show that you're trying. You show that you care about what they care about. You're trying to get them the number they want. You have limitations because of your banks and other financial limitations that won't just, you don't have 4 million cash to just like give them. So you have to, always blame the bank, blame those hard limits, but show them that you're trying to get them the number they want, and maybe work with terms a little bit because they do care about that. So sellers, they care great about you being a fit, liking you, all those things we just talked about. They also care about getting as close as they can to the number they want. Whereas brokers care about surety to close. That's what they care about more than anything. Is like, honestly, we could kind of care less if it sells for 3.8 or 3.9. We just want to make sure it freaking closes. So like, brokers are closing seeking missiles. They just want to know that you're reliable, you're fast, you're going to do what you say you're going to do, you're going to be monogamous, you're going to get it done. That's what we care most about. Whereas the seller says, we want you to be successful, we want you to be someone we relate to, we want you to get us as close as you can to the number, etc. So take these tips, go win your deal, win the broker's heart, win the seller's heart, and you're going to win the deal.